Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Retold by Jenny Dooley.
Chapter 7. A Home for Oliver. Oliver stayed at the house until spring. When he was well and strong again, everyone moved to a beautiful cottage in the country. Life there was quiet and peaceful. Every morning Oliver got up early to pick flowers for Mrs. Maylie and Rose. After breakfast he had lessons with an old man in the village, and in the afternoons he went for walks with Rose. In the evenings he did his homework and listened, while Rose read aloud from a book or played the piano and sang.
Alas, my love, you do me wrong, to treat me so discourteously.
3 months passed in this way, and life was perfect for Oliver again. One beautiful hot summer afternoon, Oliver and Rose went for a very long walk. When they came back much later than usual, Rose sat down at the piano and began to play a sad tune. Suddenly she stopped playing and looked very pale. Mrs. Maylie got up quickly and put her arms round Rose.
My dear girl, what's the matter?
I didn't want to worry you, Aunt, but I'm afraid I'm ill.
You must go to bed now, and if you're not better in the morning, I'll send for Dr. Losberne.
I'm sure I'll be well again in the morning, Aunt. Good night. Good night, Oliver.
But in the morning Rose was worse. Mrs. Maylie called Oliver and gave him 2 letters, one for Dr. Losberne and one for her son Harry, who loved Rose.
Oliver, take these letters to the village inn and ask them to send them at once.
I'll run there and back as fast as I can, Mrs. Maylie.
Oliver ran all the way to the village inn and asked the innkeeper to send the letters straight away. As he was running out of the inn yard, he bumped into a tall man wearing a black cloak.
Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see you. I hope I didn't hurt you.
The man stared at Oliver. He seemed to recognise the boy.
You young devil! What are you doing here?
He shook his fist and took a step towards Oliver, then suddenly fell to the ground in a fit and started shaking. Oliver called for help for the mysterious stranger.
Please, somebody help!
Then ran home as fast as he could. He was puzzled and frightened by the man's strange behaviour. But as soon as he was back with the Maylies, he forgot all about it, because Rose was much worse. The next day Dr. Losberne and Harry Maylie arrived. While the doctor was with Rose, Harry spoke to his mother.
Mother, you know I love Rose and want to marry her. When she is well, may I ask her to marry me?
Yes, of course. You know I love you both, and if you get married, I'll be very happy. Ask her when she's well again.
Just then Dr. Losberne came in. Mrs. Maylie and Harry looked at him anxiously and waited for him to speak.
The danger is past. She will get well.
Rose grew stronger every day, and a cheerful atmosphere returned to the cottage. Oliver went to his lessons every day and studied hard. Then he walked in the countryside with Harry and showed him where to find the most beautiful flowers for Rose. The days passed quickly. One evening Oliver was doing his homework. It was a hot day and he was sleepy. He finished the last exercise, closed his books and looked out into the garden. There outside the window, looking at him, were 2 men, Fagin and a mysterious stranger.
Help!
Shouted Oliver. He jumped back from the window and the men ran away. By the time Harry and Dr. Losberne came out, There was no sign of them. The servants searched the fields around the house, but they found no one. The next day, Harry went to the village to ask about the strangers, but nobody knew anything.
Oliver, my boy, maybe you were just tired and imagined those strangers,
said Dr. Losberne at last. The incident was soon forgotten. A few days later, Rose was well enough to get up. It was a warm day, and everyone was in the garden. Mrs. Maylie was sewing, and Harry and Rose were sitting under a tree, reading a book together. Suddenly, Harry put down the book.
Rose, I want to speak to you. I think you know I love you. Will you marry me? I've already spoken to my mother, and she agrees to our marriage if that's what you want too.
Harry, I can't marry you. You know I was a poor orphan when your mother took me in. You want to be a great politician. I'm afraid that if you marry me, your career will suffer.
But Rose, you are more important to me than my career.
You say that now, but if you marry me, maybe one day you will regret it.
Harry was upset and decided to leave the next day with Dr. Losberne. A few days later, Mrs. Maylie and Rose decided to take Oliver to the coast on holiday. On their way, they stopped in London for 3 days. Oliver hoped that he would not meet anyone from Fagin's gang while he was there.